So in a perfect world, a much less confident dude would have tacked those two brackets on the new, assembly and then test fit it on the four-wheeler first. But I just forgot to. Let's go take a look. Welcome back to the channel. We are in a winter storm watch, so that means it's probably time to get stuff ready to move snow. So we're doing that today. We did the Fergie, went right together. It's out here. That thing starts so good. We got the blade on it. It's running good. The hydraulics are working wonderful. Go up and watch this video here where we drained out all of our watered down, contaminated hydraulic transmission fluid, cleaned it with diesel fuel, and put fresh oil in, and that cured 90% of our issues with the 3-point, especially the cold weather nonsense we were dealing with on that thing. But we also have, we don't have a big tractor, a skid steer. God, I'd love to have a skid steer, but it just ain't in the cards right now. Our other method and our other tool for snow removal that's been, quite honestly, a huge asset to us is the Brute Force 750i with the Warn blade. I love this style blade. It doesn't attach underneath into the back. You have to buy, and I bought this with the four-wheeler, so I didn't put this on, but we do have a genuine Warn winch. And then these all attach. You got to buy the bracketry for your four-wheeler, and then get the blade that attaches to that bracketries. So this is our other snow moving item, and it works wonderfully. But we've got some damage we got to repair, and I didn't notice it when I took the blade off this spring, except for usually you can pop the blade into the bracketries right out of the little saddles on the four-wheeler, and they're only held with a 3/8 bolt on each side, and it works wonderfully. But I noticed this last spring, it was cocked. I had to jiggle it a little bit, when usually, you loosen the bolts and you pop them right out and you're done. Well, today when I went to put it on, I had more issues. And then we actually looked at it. You can see it from here. Well, you can't see it from here. Let's get this off and I'll show you what we're talking about. I've actually only got one bolt in it now because it is quite a ways off due to the damage. Should be able to. Usually that's how easy it is to take both bolts off, and then you just lift it out of the saddle, drop it, and go. Ready to put the four-wheeler in neutral. So here's the blade end. You have this little circular piece. Here's where your bolt goes through. And then on the bracketry end, you have a little saddle down in here. So it just jumps over this little nubbin, and then you run a bolt through and you're done. It's really quite simple. But we noticed today, looky here, down in here, in fact, I'm gonna stand this up. We've got major distortion, and then look how bad this is supposed to be on top of the tube. The tube's not round anymore, it's been crushed. This side, not as bad, but we do see a little bit of distortion, and this is probably from ramming this thing over and over into the snow, especially when you get a really big pile going of wet, heavy snow, and you're just trying to get it moved off the best you can, you tend to beat on it a little bit. The good news is frame bracketries look really good. Everything's happy under here. There's no bendage. This side's been repaired once before, but all that repair work looks good. We're gonna though have to take this off and figure out a way to fix at least this side. We'll fix both sides, but let's get this off of here and onto the welding table and see what we can do. Well, that wasn't enough. Oh no, there's 6. I just looked right through them. Let's see what happens here. Little angle levers in the way of a couple of these. I think it'll be all right. Okay. All right, now yeah. Okay, that wasn't too bad. All right, 16 millimeter and 17 millimeter. All right, now we can see the full extent of the damage. We're all messed up there. We're still pretty square, so that's good. And then on this side, you can see this tube's just caved in, and actually this weld is coming apart here. So what we're gonna do now, I think, we're gonna go ahead and cut these off, both these bracketries. We'll have to kind of keep track of where they mount here for when we go back on. We'll probably take a Sharpie and just, you know, kind of sort of eyeball it, and then we're going to cut these off, and then we can go to town on this tube especially, and this tube. And I think we might get lucky and have just the right stuff to sleeve this and make it much stronger. All right, that wasn't too bad, and now you can see the true scope of that's supposed to be a round tube. This one is not as bad, but it's still a little egg-shaped here. And then here's our major divot here. So what we may try to do, this is what we built the roll cage out of on the CJ years and years ago. And this little chunks that are left over, wrong bends that are too short or whatever, been following me around for a long time. But this is 2-inch 120 wall DOM, and the inside diameter should be about 1.75 inches. And it may, once we get these, if we can get these round again, it may slide over this. And if it will, what we're gonna do is this plate here is welded on the bottom side only. If we can get this to go over these tubes, we will cut this plate out, sleeve these, probably, I don't know, I've got enough to sleeve them all the way up to here if we want to, but we'll just have to kind of see what it likes and what it wants. Really the most of the pressure obviously is right in here where those mounting tabs attach. So we're going to beat on this with the hammer a little bit, see how round we can get it, clean up just this outer edge. And if this looks like it's going to slide on without too much trouble, we'll go that route. Otherwise, I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 sections of this and we're going to split it. We'll leave this welded on here, and we'll run a split and we'll just wrap it all the way around, and then put about 10 pounds of liquid MIG wire into it and call her good. All right, well, the total sleeve, if a guy were to sit here and beat and bang for, you know, half a day, we might get it to go. But we're not gonna put that much time and effort into it. What we're gonna do, actually I have 2 of these scrap roll cage pieces that have been following me around for 20 years. We're gonna cut each one about as far back as we can before we start getting to the bend, I think right around here. And then we're gonna cut a slot about a 1/2 inch wide there, and then we're going to hammer it over this like so. That's the new plan. And then weld both ends, weld that seam, weld all around this bracketries. That's, I think, gonna be pretty decent. So we got to get both of these cut. Our chop saw, Jalen killed it the last time we had a project, so I don't know if we should take some time and try to fix the chop saw, or if we should just use like a Sawzall or a cutting blade, a cutoff wheel. I don't know, I'll figure it out. All right, dudes and dudettes, here's where we're at. And we got her all cut up, all cleaned up. Here's our piece, should be fairly straight with our slot cut into it, and theoretically that's gonna go, well, wrong way, one way, like this. Now we still have a bit of a bulge here and a little bit over here, so this is gonna spread, but I do think it's gonna be just as strong as this tubing that they put on there, plus we're second layering it. Now there's gonna be a void under here because we can't pull this divot out as well, but again, we're gonna have fresh metal, 2 layers. I'm not expecting any problems there, especially when, you know, it is an ATV, and although we did do some damage to the plow, this thing's been in service for 15 years. We've been using this blade, probably at least maybe 13. So I've been beating the heck out of it for an awfully long time to only sustain this little bit of damage on these 2 bracketries. So let's see if we can get these tapped on here, what they look like on, and then, you know, we'll probably have to do some C clamps and some vicey grips and other stuff to get it just as tight as we can before we start tacking. I like the looks of that a lot. Oh, this is a good idea. We'll get a pump. That's just lovely. See if this one fits. This one should fit even better, huh? I'm pretty giggity about that. Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Look at, I'm just a little excited. So all on here will zip zap around the end. Same thing over here. Now this one, you'll notice we've got some gaps. That's okay. We're going to close that up. We'll get a C-clamp on there and some other bracketries, and we'll suck those down as much as we can before we zap them. But yeah, I think we're going to attack this one first because it's going to take more, you know, clampage. to get it to where we're happy. What's the gap look like? A little gap on the front side too. But this is, I'm telling you, this is going to work wonderful. There we are. We've got the leading edge, I'm going to call it, clamped down 4 ways, and then we used our scraps from our little slit we cut out to bush us out so we could clamp this way and then that way and keep it all closed up. So we're going to tack now probably 1, 2, 3, 4, because then we're going to have to come back to the back side, and clamping that front side kind of got this end a little out of whack. So we'll clamp that front edge, and then we'll come back here and do the same C-clamp action on the back edge, and then we'll move over to this one, and then we can get the burning. So in a perfect world, a much less confident dude would have tacked those 2 brackets on the new, assembly, and then test fit it on the 4-wheeler first. But I just forgot to. So we got our bolt-on brackets on there, and let's just see. From the eyeballs, it looks nice. So let's just see what happens here. But yeah, I forgot to do any kind of test fitting, and I hope we're at least close. All right, now I gotta get down in here for you. And it should. Hang on, 2 hands. Sorry. Ooh. Whoa. Look at that. That's in. That's where it sits. Look at the clearances. I got about a 1/16 over here, but this side, like I said, has been bent and fixed a couple times. And look, it sits down in those saddles real nice now. And then the whole thing's supposed to go whoop, whoop. That's groovy. Wow, who'd have thunk it? All right, it's cooled off. We put it outside. We put it outside for a little too long, so it's a little too cool. But we're gonna do a little cleaning up. While it warms up just a little bit, we'll wipe it down really quick with some brake cleaner, and then we're gonna hit it with some black engine enamel, the semi-gloss. I don't think the paint will dry to do this tonight. Tomorrow we'll reassemble the blade, put it on here, and hopefully ready for the winter storm that may or may not happen. Well, it's not a next day alert. It got just dry enough. Now there might be a thumbprint or two in the paint, but for the most part, it looks pretty snazzy. We are back together. This is how this ride works. 1 3/8 bolt in each side. I still got to tweak those down just a little bit, but it went right together. No more jiggling and prying it side to side to get both bolts in. Everything looks like it's lined up really well. And then your winch rope or cable, in my case rope, comes down, and that's your lifting. And then here's where we do the tilt. And that locks into each one of these grooves. So we are ready. The TO20 is indoors. It's got the blade on it. Fluids checked, ready to rock. The Brute's indoors. It's got the blade on it. Fluids checked, ready to rock. You know what that means. The winter storm watch is going to be a complete dud. We ain't going to get any snow, which is fine with me. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you on the next one.